Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm a sewing specialist at Fons & Porter. In this tutorial we will cover the quilt called Twist of Lime. For the pattern for this quilt, visit our website. We are going to be working with 10-inch squares of some wonderful white background types fabrics with a little bit of lime and black and gray in them, and then gray fabrics that have that great lime and white and black accents in them. So everything's going to start with a 10-inch square, and we're going to take that 10-inch square and we're going to dice it up a little bit. You'll see that there are blocks within the quilt that look like one big 10-inch square, but they have some replacement pieces on each of them, kind of triangles in different positions. So what we're going to do here is we're going to stack up some of the white and the gray blocks, and we're going to cut them into 4 equal parts. So we are going to, I put it on a rotating mat here so that we can cut from a safe direction and not disturb our parts as we go. So we're going to cut 10-inch block in half, which means 5 inches along this cut edge of the block, and we're going to come in and cut that right down the middle. And then we're going to turn it and do the same thing from the other direction. And that will create 4 blocks of the same fabric. Then we can collect up 4 of these. And if we were to have stacked a bunch of fabrics, we could go through and collect groups of 4. So now we have 4 for a block that is predominantly white and 4 blocks that are predominantly gray. Okay, we're going to set those aside. Now we have one more little set of cuttings that we're going to do. We're going to use a gray fabric, and we're also going to be cutting fabrics from squares that are black and also lime green, and follow the instructions for the number of 10-inch squares that you need to cut, and we're going to cut those into 2.5-inch squares. The great part about this is that all these fabrics go together and we don't have to go shopping for more. We've got them greatly already coordinated wonderfully. So 10-inch square, I made my first cut at 7.5. I'm going to back that up to 5, which would then cut the 10-inch square right in half, and then back it up again to 2.5 all the way along. And we've now cut it into strips, and then all we have to do is turn the mat and repeat that process again, 7.5, 5, and 2.5. And it will yield us 16 squares that all go together. And 2.5. So the fun part is that you can sit down and cut a bunch of squares really quickly. Okay, now that we have those, then I would reserve all of those into piles of the gray or the lime green or the black. And they may be a variety of the grays or variety of the lime greens, but I would keep those stacked together. Now what we're going to do is create the parts of the block that have diagonal seams. So we're going to take a block like this, and we're going to pick up 4 of these, and we'll bring all 4 of them in here. Now what I want to do is create, I'll bring a block in so you can see exactly where we're headed here. Sometimes it's helpful to know. We're trying to create this in the center of our block. And what we need to do then is that we are going to use the diagonal seams. So I'm going to lay these right sides together so I know I've got things positioned. And then I'm going to come in with each one of them and mark them with a diagonal seam corner to corner. Oops, put my ruler over so I can see where I'm at. And we're going to mark diagonally a sewing line on each of these pieces. It takes a little bit of time. Sometimes you feel confident, sometimes people will just want to shoot straight across, and if you can do that, more power to you. When I tried to make a straight line like that, mine tends to sag in the middle, and then my block doesn't quite come out the way I want it to. So once we've got all 4 of them marked, we're going to take one under the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch it. And set it down, stitch just next to the line, but not quite on top of it, just a little bit to the outer edge, this outer edge here, so that when we open the triangle out, that it will totally replace the fabric underneath of it. So we would come in with the iron. Always make sure that we make a trip to the iron periodically and keep things neat and tidy when we're piecing. Open that seam all the way out, like this. And then we just need to use the scissors, and we can come in and remove the underneath triangle of fabric, because we don't need all of those layers. Just approximately a 1/4 inch seam allowance there. And you're going to repeat that process all the way around. And then you will have the center block, but you'll notice there's an outside corner on these also. So we need to then go to our stack of great lime greens, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to mark these also from corner to corner and stitch along that line again and flip it out, and then we will have created this outer corner of our block. Okay. When we bring all these pieces together, I'll fold it back like as if I was stitching it. I've joined rows here and a row here, join those together, stitching a 1/4 inch seam and pressing that out. Now, for the number of blocks that are required for this quilt, follow the directions carefully, because there are a variety of combinations. If you can see in the quilt behind you that there are blocks that are basically gray with a black center and green on the outside. There are also blocks that are white, the gray center, and they have green on the outside. Now, the fun part is that when these come together, you'll notice you're going to have green triangles, and there'll be a variety of triangles that come together to make a square here. And the other part is that on the outside edge of the quilt, there are blocks that do not have triangles on two sides. So you would have a block that looks similar to this, 2 green triangles, but it would be white all the way to the outside here. And sometimes also there are blocks that are like this, gray in the background, 2 green triangles, but do not have green on the outside corners here. And there's even one more combination where there are blocks that only have 1 little triangle on the outside. So follow those diagrams really closely, and you'll create this quilt, Twist of Lime. Now, to finish it off, we've put that little twist of lime just one more time, repeated in the first border, and then a great black print on the outside and a black binding. For more of our video tutorials, visit our website. Thanks for joining me.